Good morning, everyone. Just a little technical challenge there. So, good morning to you. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, host of the Today Show from the Disability Channel. And today is Fun Friday. I don't have a particular guest today, but I've got a few guests who are going to pop in because on Fridays we like to just do whatever comes up because everything else is pretty streamlined and theme lined. So, also on Wednesday, during Wellness Wednesday, Dr. Kay Sheffield and I talked about food, not food, but eating properly, eating healthy food. And for today's world, where it's very fast paced and a lot of people they have lots of excuses why they don't eat properly. So if you would like to have that information, then just check us out on YouTube or Laurie Davis Facebook page and you can see that show. So today we do have regulars who stop by and visit us. And I thought, I need to just put out a very quick invite to them so that they can come in and we can see who they are and share with us today too. So I'm going to share my top 10 favorite things to make. And they're simple and they're easy and they're fun and they're delicious. And Dr. Kay is coming in as well. She's going to share a few. But let me introduce you to Kathy Bell. You'll see Kathy texting a lot on our shows. She has always very good questions to ask us. And so she's here in person today. So bringing her in here. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning. Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing today, Dr.
I'm
Laurie?
doing great, except
Okay.
a little senior moment there. But anyway, welcome to the show, Kathy. You're such a supporter and you do a lot of work for us behind the scenes. And so it's really nice for people to put a name to the face because you always have really great questions.
I try. Sometimes they're pretty stupid questions, but thank you.
No, there's no such thing, Kathy. There's no
Okay.
such thing as a stupid question. So today we have some friends dropping by intermittently, and we're going to share some fun facts around food and some little kitchen tips that I also have that I've learned over the years to help freeze food, keep food safe, keep it fresh. And I see Jay is here to join us right now as soon as he's coming in. So, yeah, it's a beautiful day here in the great Northwest. How's Burlington doing?
Oh,
I see you had some floods.
it's sunny and it's about 80 degrees.
Hmm.
No wind. I took my dad out and he's got this roller tour where he can use it as a walker or he can turn around and sit in it. It's got pedals for his feet. So we walked along the waterfront, to the hotel and back, and he met all the dogs. The dogs were, yeah, it was nice, nice.
Cool,
So I'm all
cool.
sweaty now. Whew.
Well, that's all right. We'll all be that way before the day's out. It's been hot here all week, and it's going to continue to be hot. So, no break, I don't think, coming up anytime soon. Oh, look who's here. Oh, we better behave ourselves. Our boss is here.
Oh,
Good
oh,
morning.
Morning, morning, morning.
Yeah,
How
how
are
are you?
you?
We're good. I'm good. Kathy's good. We're
Hi,
gonna have
Kath.
hi. If he happened to look out the window, his condo is about less half a mile, not even half a mile from my parents' place. So he would see me pushing my dad along the waterfront.
Oh,
He,
cool.
Yeah, pretty crazy. I know. Sorry, I'm on my phone. I don't know. We've had horrible technology problems, but have you guys noticed it's happening right now all over the world? Like, have you seen the airports?
Mm.
All the systems are down. So I'm on my phone because my computer, I don't know what's going on. It hasn't been working for the last, well, yeah, since this morning. So I had to jump on. I had to do an interview this morning with Wild Child Records. So I had to jump on my phone. I had a really nice interview with a female trucker who's a musician from Nashville. So she drives an 18-wheeler Peterbilt. That's her day job. That's her day job. So I just talked to her now. We interviewed her, and she was at a truck stop sitting in her rig, like so cool. Like, and she's a musician from Nashville. Her name is Marie Norris, and she's got that country twang, and it was a really interesting interview. I don't know if I was more enthralled by her being a trucker or a musician from Nashville. I was like, so we're going to be doing, just to let you guys know, we're going to be bringing back, or not bringing back, but it's been dormant for a little while, my TDC Classic Cars show. So we're going to be bringing back TDC Classic Cars, and we're going to be doing either daily or weekly or semi-daily, bi-daily, whatever, little snippets of her singing a cappella in her rig and telling us where she is. Yeah. So
great.
yeah, so today she was in Missouri. We just did the introduction interviews, but every day or two we're going to do a little 30-second or 2-minute snippet of her singing a cappella while she's driving, maybe, or we're going to pull over on one of the truck stops. So it's going to be kind of cool, and then we're going to get in there and blow up Nashville. So
nice.
Yeah, so this is good. So how are you guys doing?
Out of there, yeah. So we need some interviews out of there. Yeah.
Everything's good?
Yeah, everything's good. Today we've got some gals showing up, and we're just going to have like an open mic and whatever comes up for us. But in the mix of that, I love to cook. So we were talking on Wednesday about eating properly, and Dr. K and I. So today I thought I would share my top 10 recipes. And if we won't share the recipes on the show, we'll just talk about the product. But then if anybody wants the recipes, they can contact me and I'd be happy to send them out to you, because some of them are over 100 years old.
Very nice. What I'd like to do also, if you guys have a chance on your show, you might have a packed show, but I would love for Kathy to tell our audience viewers her journey on the Disability Channel regarding our program and how you found us and what your role is now and all the new friends and associates and all that great stuff, if you guys have a chance, because it just opens up more opportunities. Because you know what? And Kathy and all that, like, there's probably a lot of disabled people or veterans or whatever that are watching our show and are probably saying, I'd love to kind of get involved with the channel, but I don't really know what to do. And I have a disability and I'm a little shy, or I'm a little reserved to, let people know. So I just want to let people know who are watching that I have an incurable illness called familial Mediterranean fever. Our programs are meant for persons with disabilities, so we're very, considerate, very kind, very patient. We have professionals, and we have people who can attest to our programs, like Kathy, to say, hey, try something new. Go ahead, Kath.
Everybody has a disability. I met
yes, I do.
on our show who set up the cameras, and they have some disabilities. We're all human. We all have funny quirks. It's funny sometimes. You come away with a good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
I think we should actually, while we're talking about this, why don't we do a show week on and interview some of the people from the channel, like Lewis and Simon and Kathy, and just have a little team there. Yes, whoever you want.
JD, I'm not that J, that JD.
Okay. That would be great. Yeah, that would be great. So I'm going to pop off, but I wanted to come on quickly, and I have been promoting the show, so I'm going to share this and all that. But yeah, I really thank you guys. Have a great Friday. Kathy, we'll talk later, whatever. I want everybody to know Kathy is a MacGyver. She can do it all. She can do it all. So I thank you, Kathy, for that.
I get in trouble sometimes.
No, you're good. You're really good. You're really good. So, okay, ladies, have a great day. Have a great Friday.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, bye. We'll talk. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There you go. We never know when the boss is going to land. So we've always got to be like on our best, right? Because he can show up anytime. And Kathy, I think that's a great idea. I'll get you to organize, you and I'll organize a date. Maybe we can talk about that on Monday and get a crew in here so that you can share your stories. But why don't you just give us a little thumbnail of your story right now, and how you got involved with the Disability Channel.
Okay, I will try. First of all, I wear 2 cochlear implants, and I got my cochlear implants relatively late in life. So I'd be doing a lot better if I had my cochlear implants in my around 2 years old as compared to getting them when I'm getting 2 by the time I'm 50. So I'm a lot older now, and I was unemployed. I'm sort of like a WordPress web designer, and I was not doing anything at the moment. And I saw that I love taking courses, and I saw that Owlware had a course on a media program course on web design and all sorts of other media related things. And so I just signed up for it, and it's been they have a lot of connections. It's as long as you're moving in some direction, things will open up for you. And yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
So
Well, I'd love to hear the whole story and the whole story from some of our other team members as well. And then I'm sort of like the new kid on the block. I've not been with the Disability Channel for very long, but I was with other networks along the way. But I'm really enjoying this particular channel and network. I just feel like we're doing something very profound and positive, and that brings me a lot of joy. So I'm excited to be now doing 7 shows a week for the Disability Channel, or at least not all myself, but as part of. So 7 hours of my week are blocked off for showtime. And then, of course, prepping behind the scenes and getting guests lined up. And it takes time, but it's all worth it to me. So, yeah. So today, Kathy, we're going to talk about cooking.
I thought of a few recipes too.
Oh, good. Okay. Things that you make that you know people would enjoy.
Yes.
All right. So let's take turns. I'll share one and then I'll have you share one. And so, and I'm going to have a little story behind each one because some of these recipes came to me like an adventure. And the most recent one that I'm going to share, at the end of June, I traveled to northern Saskatchewan and I worked at a resort. I worked with 7 staff members from the HR and finance department, and I did a 2-day retreat for the staff. And the resort there's many buildings on the lake, and it's a camp, but it's more like a resort. So we would go over to the dining hall to eat, and I got to meet the chef. And he's been there since the resort opened 5.5 years ago. He too is disabled, but he is like the bomb when it comes to cooking. Holy, the food! I gained 5 pounds while I was there for 3 days.
Oh.
And we had moose meat, and we had, all the traditional First Nations food. It was fresh fish out of the lake. I mean, the fish were caught that day and you're eating them that night. It was amazing. So he had, I got to talk with him and be friends with him. And all of a sudden there was this big, huge pan of beautiful cinnamon buns on the breakfast buffet. And I went, whoa. And then the next day was, they have a traditional bread called bannock. And you can either deep fry it or you can serve it, plain. Anyway, he uses the same basic recipe to make bread, to make bannock rolls, to make cinnamon buns, to make anything you want to make from a basic bread dough. And delish. So I said, it's very, very, you have to be very careful when you ask a chef for a recipe. But we had become pretty good friends while I was there because we talked back and forth. And so I said to him, would you be willing to share your bannock recipe with me? Because I would love to make it. Well, sure. So he said, I'm just about to make some if you want to watch. I said, okay. And he had a big bowl. Oh my gosh, it was the size of I don't know, it was really large. One of those big commercial stainless steel bowls. 6 eggs, cream,
Mm.
oil, yeast, of course, and then your flour. And this makes like a huge, big, but he said you could put it, you could cut it in half or thirds. But he said the secret ingredient is the cream.
Oh.
So I went, oh, wow, because that makes it really light when you put those eggs and cream together like a cake. Whew, beat that up. So I'm going to make some as soon as it cools off. I haven't made that yet, but that's my next move.
Oh. How much cream?
I think it was a cup of cream,
Mm-hmm.
like a half a liter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How much flour? I'm getting an idea of how big.
Yeah, half of a 10-pound bag,
Oh, okay.
5 pounds.
Sounds
So
tasty.
I know. So I'm going to cut it in half. Then you put all that in a big bowl and just stirred it up
Mm-hmm.
and let it rise. And poof, we had cinnamon buns. That bannock, that deep fried, then some of it, like you deep fry donuts. He deep fried that, and I made a dessert out of it because he had blueberry sauce and strawberry sauce and whipped cream. So I just made myself a little dessert with the bannock on the bottom. No wonder I gained 5 pounds. Holy cow, Gabby.
What is bannock?
It is a traditional bread.
Mm-hmm.
One type is without yeast. It's kind of like a biscuit dough.
Oh.
But this one has yeast in it, and you use it for frying. You can deep fry it once you make this consistency. So they make it, and they use it for hamburger buns, hot dog buns, any kind of their bread, their special bread. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what is something that you like to cook?
Well, today I'm taking a zucchini pie.
Oh.
You know those Pillsbury bake-off recipes used to.
Yes.
They have those little booklets.
Yes.
Well, there's a zucchini pie recipe in there, and
oh, wow.
yeah, and it calls for about 4 cups of sliced zucchini, and about 2 eggs, and mozzarella cheese, and basil, and some spices, mustard.
Mm-hmm.
Mix all that up, and that's the filling. And I don't make my own pie crust. I get to buy the pie crust.
Mm-hmm.
So I add the pie crust, make the pie crust, and pour in the filling, and it's delicious. Everybody loves it.
Sounds delicious.
Yes.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, the next thing I'll share is a recipe that I have that's over 100 years old.
Okay.
Probably more like 150 by now. And this comes from my childhood. And my dad's mom passed away when he was only 14. So his aunties and uncles, he was very close to them. And they lived on a farm. So when we were little, my dad would take us out there to visit. And it was kind of like kind of creepy when you were little. You have an imagination, and they had these dark green blinds on the windows, and it was kind of just very simple. And there was a bathroom out in the barn, and it was just that kind of a place. Oh. But my dad's Auntie Sadie, she would say to us, "Do you kids want a cookie?" And we'd say, "Sure, thank you." And she'd go into the front room, the parlor, where we were not allowed to go, only on Sundays. And she had an old-fashioned ice box in there. And that's where she kept her bottles of cookies. So she'd come out with a big jar, and our favorite one was her ginger snaps. Now, I asked my mom for that recipe, and she said, "Oh, I don't have it," she said. "You know that if we have a family recipe, we don't give it away. We don't share it." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, no," she said, "I don't have that recipe. Aunt Sadie would never give us that recipe." And I said, "Really?" And Aunt Sadie had never been married or anything, but she loved us kids and always was so kind and sweet to us. And so I said to Mom, "You know what, Mom, you need to ask her." So we finally got the recipe. And I make those ginger snaps every Christmas. But they're the kind that they are a real ginger snap. You cannot bite them. You have to dip them in your tea or coffee to soften them up so you can actually take a bite. They're
Like
amazing.
biscotti.
Yes, biscotti. That's right. So I remember those cookies though from my childhood, and I make them every Christmas, and they make like, oh man, like I don't know how many dozen in a batch, but it's a lot. We eat them for a month or so. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Did she
All
get
right, over to you. Your turn.
so she gave you the recipe.
Yeah, my mom finally got the recipe, and it probably was when after my auntie passed away, because there were all her recipe books at the farm, her old notebooks with her recipes in them, and I'm quite sure how we got that recipe.
That's lovely. That's
Yeah.
lovely.
Mhm.
Okay, I have a recipe. I haven't made it in years. It was from a cookbook. You know how you can grind nuts to make a flour?
Yes.
It's walnut tort.
Oh wow.
Walnut tort. And it's really good. It's a cake. And I've forgotten the recipe, but I know where it is. So you take about 12 eggs. I always double the recipe or triple it, so I end up, I have problems with proportions, so I end up having to increase the recipe. And you take about 12 eggs and you separate them.
Okay.
Yeah, and you beat the yolks and you add a bit of sugar, and then you have, you pulverize the walnuts and make a flour out of it. And you add that to your yolk mixture with the sugar in it and mix that up. And then you take the whites, the egg white, and you mix that up. And you make it until you mix it up, the egg whites, until there's stiff peaks.
Yes, like meringue.
Yes, and you fold the white meringue liquid into the walnut with the yolk liquid.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it becomes a cake, and it is. And you put icing on it, your normal buttercream icing, and it's good.
That sounds delicious.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Okay.
All right, let me look at my list here. I make a wicked spaghetti sauce.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
But my secret ingredient that most people don't know about, they'll say, wow, this tastes really different, but it's. And I put cloves in my spaghetti sauce.
Okay.
And it makes it snappy. It's not bland tomato and hamburger, and I put green peppers in it and mushrooms. But then I add my spices, my cayenne pepper and salt and all that. And then I put in cloves.
Oh.
A teaspoon, depending on how large the batch is. It might be a teaspoon of cloves, it might be a tablespoon, just depending on how large I'm making. But yeah, that's the little secret ingredient that gives it an extra little bit of zip. Because I don't like a bland tomato taste. My mom used to make a recipe and she put cinnamon in there, but I like the cloves in the spaghetti sauce. Mm-hmm.
Do you use I get Italian seasoning. That's one of my go-to recipes, but I'm not sure everybody would like it because I put way too much tomato paste in there.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to make the sauce thick, but when I put way too much tomato paste, I have to add more spices. So
yeah. Well, I cheat a little bit on the base because I'm not going to, grind up tomatoes and things like that. But my very favorite, and I'll put a plug in for them today, my very favorite spaghetti sauce off the shelf in a grocery store is Hunt's Thick and Rich.
Oh.
Hunt's Thick and Rich. And then I just get the same size can of tomato sauce. I don't use any paste at all. It's too strong for me. So So I mix the two together, the rich Hunt's, rich and thick, and the an equal amount of a tomato sauce. Maybe sometimes you can get the sauce with basil in it or a little bit of garlic or something. And then I put the two together. And I also add sugar to my sauce, not a lot, but just it kills the tomato, it kills that acidy taste of the tomato. So these are a few tips, but the most beautiful thing about this is I always make more than I need because it takes just as much work to make a little batch as it does a big batch. And then I put it in large Ziploc bags and I flatten it to freeze. So when I freeze my spaghetti bag, it's flat like this. It's like this in your freezer. So I put it in the Ziploc bag, do it up, get the air out, and then spread it around so that it's flat. Then when you want some, you just take that flat package, throw it in some warm water, and it's thawed like that.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. And that's how I store a lot of my food. If I make baked beans or if I make, even when I buy hamburger, I'll split it up and I'll put it in raw in flat bags. And then it's just nice for storing in your freezer.
Can I say one thing? I
Of course.
one secret to spaghetti. I'm sorry, but that's what I make all the time too, spaghetti. I don't make much, but that's one of them. But yours sounds wonderful. Okay, the ground beef is important. If they have sirloin ground beef, go for the sirloin ground beef. It's a couple of dollars more expensive, but the meat is so much richer.
Okay, there's a tip. I never heard of that, doing that. I usually buy lean.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like the extra lean. It does not make a juicy hamburger.
Okay.
And that's another thing I do with my hamburger when I bring it home. I do a mixture for my hamburger patties. So I put my spices in, I chop onion up, and then I make my hamburger patties. And I put 2 in a sandwich bag.
Oh.
And then 2 in another sandwich bag because there's just the 2 of us. So at the odd time there'd be 3 in there, but just in the little sandwich bags, and that's flat. So then that's easy storage. And then if we want a hamburger, I just pull out one of the little baggies with the hamburgers already made. Well, we're busy women. We have to save time. So when I'm in the kitchen, I'm always thinking ahead, making a plan, right? And I do that with all my soups, my chowders. I always make more than I need, and then I bag them, and then they're so easy to thaw. So I don't have a lot of plastic covered lid kind of deals.
Okay.
Very few of those, So, all right. Well, let's take a little break, Kathy, because we're going to be bringing some sponsors and advertisers on, and you're going to be one of the people that helps us get them in there. And so here's a little. I'm getting people, Kathy, to practice a 30-second ad. Like what you have to say, get it into 30 seconds. And this is what 30 seconds looks like. Here we go. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the Today Show here on the Disability Channel. And I'm so honored and delighted today to have Kathy Bell on the show with me today, because Kathy is a big support in the background of the show and does a lot of work for us to make the show successful. And so I didn't have any particular guests today, but isn't it great the way things work out? I never worry about anything because I always know things are going to be fine. And Kathy, you'll see Kathy on the show every day because she's always asking questions and watching the show and making it very interesting for our guests to have a question to answer. So welcome back, Kathy.
Thank you.
And we're going to interview Kathy and the staff very soon too, so that you'll get to know we just don't just show up and arrive. There's a whole lot of work that goes into producing a show, and a lot of times we don't really have any idea of how much work goes on behind the scenes. And today we're sharing recipes. So do you have something else you'd like to talk about, Kathy? I love that torte. That's
We'll send
amazing.
I'll send it to you.
Mhm.
That's about it. Those are my secret recipes. I like going to Fortino's or No Frills for grocery shopping. And I will grab a blue menu mac and cheese already made up
Yeah.
and pop it in the oven for them. I'm a bit of a healthy eater. I try to be. I try.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, that's okay. Well, that's what came up for us on Wednesday in the wellness show. Kay and I were talking about, um, we have access to what we need here in Canada. How fortunate for us.
yeah.
And so when I hear people complaining about the grocery prices and this and that, and even during COVID, when I would go to the grocery store, I would just stop and thank the staff for being there, because just even being able to access food. And I remember being a child, we never got strawberries in the middle of the winter. You had to wait until the spring, or certain kinds of fruit or vegetables weren't available to us because of where we lived or whatever. So what are some of the excuses? We talked about that on Wednesday, why people don't eat properly. They don't have the time. They don't want to cook. So yeah. So I hear you though, because every once in a while we need a break. We just don't want to. I just don't want to cook on a hot day. So that's when we order a pizza.
I'll put a plug in for Costco. I love Costco.
Oh yeah, they have a lot of nicely prepared, ahead of time kind of things, right? That you can buy.
They have this fried Japanese fried rice.
Oh
Have you
yes.
got those? Do you go to Costco?
No,
No. Okay. Well.
I don't have one near me, really.
Oh, I see.
Hmm.
Well, they have this Japanese fried rice packets in a box, 6 to a box. It's about $21. That's a lot, but it's really good. And it has little bits of vegetables and chicken in it, and you just put the packet in the frying pan, and you have instant
Great.
rice. And I add more vegetables in it, like pepper
Mhm.
and celery and onion. And my mother just loves it. My dad will eat it too, so that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Something I used to buy though years ago at Costco when I had my retreat center, I bought their chicken pies, the big ones.
Oh, yes.
They're delicious.
Mhm.
And that made a meal, with a salad on the side, and it made several meals for us. And then I'd freeze some of it because they don't come frozen; they're freshly made. So you buy them in the refrigerated section. They're not pre-frozen, so you can freeze them once you get them home.
What do you freeze them in? I don't know what to do with them because they can't eat them all. They can't eat the whole pie. It's just.
So what I do is I would take that pie and cut it in pieces. And once again, my handy little Ziploc bags, I put 2 pieces in a bag,
Mhm.
label it, and put it in the freezer. And then if we want a meal, I just take 2 out. It's hard to cook for 1 or 2 people. A lot of us get down to that, 1, 2, 3 people. And I was used to cooking, bigger meals when we were at home and all of us kids were home and everything. We made, and it took me a long time to kind of get that dwindled down to reasonable amounts. But now, of course, you can freeze it, and I divide things up. So if we have a roast chicken dinner, we'll have that chicken dinner, and then I'll take the rest of the chicken, debone the carcass, and just put that chicken in a baggie, and then I have it for making a stir fry, or I have it for a chicken burger. So I always have things planned like that, because there are those days when I'm really, really busy and I don't have time to take out and hand cook a meal. Well, here's Dr. K looking very beautiful this morning. Oh my goodness sakes. Good morning.
Hi.
We can't hear you. Yeah. Good morning. Okay, no sound. We don't have any sound. Can you hear us? Oh, she's going to check in here. All right. Well, while she's getting it back on board here, because I've been to Dr. K's house in California, and I was her house guest for 2 weeks, and she is an amazing cook. And but she did let me steal her kitchen for an evening because we had some friends coming to dinner, and I wanted to treat her and them. So she let me in her kitchen, which was a big move. Morning. Oh, no. All right. Well, let's see. What else have I got on my list? Oh, oh, this is a really good one. Good morning, Kay. No.
Ah.
You're muted now. Now you're unmuted. Check your volume. Your volume button may be down. It's way up there. I can read lips too.
There a mute? It's your mute. It's the mute for the restream. Is the mute button on?
No, she's
the mute button.
okay. Yeah, she's okay.
Oh.
Well, if you're talking, we can probably lip read anyway.
Oh.
All right. Well, we were just doing a bit of a follow-up, Kay, on our show from Wednesday when we were talking about eating in a healthy way. And I thought, well, just for fun today, we just talk about food and some little secrets and little tips that we have around things that we do to prepare healthy food and healthy meals. So, of course, I started out with bannock. How unhealthy is that? I don't know, but it was delicious. And I learned how to make it up at the camp, the bread. All right. Well, another thing that I do, let's see. What else could we share? Oh, poppy seed chicken. Poppy seed chicken. So this is a recipe out of my Mary Kay Ash cookbook. Now you all know who Mary Kay is, big cosmetic guru. And in the 80s, she put out a cookbook, and I still have my copy. And in there, all the recipes came from the consultants in the company who had families, who cooked for families when they were busy working. But there's one recipe in there called poppy seed chicken. And you take chicken breasts and you cut them up in, 1 or 2 inch pieces. So they're small pieces like a chicken nugget. And then you make a mixture. 2 cans of cream of chicken soup and a container of sour cream. And you mix that together, and a couple of tablespoons of poppy seeds. And you mix that in with the sour cream, and then you spread it over the chicken and you put it in the oven. That's it. That's all there is to it. And you can make a small batch with 1 can of soup and a small thing of sour cream, or you can make a bigger batch and it freezes beautifully. And then when it comes out of the oven, you can top it up with some shredded cheese, cheddar cheese, or whatever kind of cheese you want. but it's so easy and simple and delicious. What I put on the top sometimes too is grated cheesy sort of Ritz crackers. Crumb that up and put that on top, and that gives it a nice texture. But it's delish. It's one of my go-tos, especially if I'm having a crowd, if I've got company coming. How are you doing, Kay? No, you can't hear you, but you're here. But you're here.
Oh.
You can put stuff in the chat. Yeah. Kathy?
About sound, mute the sound key on the computer.
Kay may not know where that is, so I don't know.
So it's
Well, we won't spend too much time on that, but you texted it to her. Yeah, okay. Everything's on. Well, how come you're looking so yeah. So how come you're looking so beautiful today, Kay? Were you going somewhere? Here. Well, that's good. You're not supposed to be talking today, I guess. You're supposed to be listening. Yeah. So yeah, poppy seed chicken. I always tease myself and say, this is how I get my drugs, my opiates. I make my poppy seed chicken.
oh.
Let's see, what else have we got here? Oh, baked beans. Does anybody like homemade baked beans?
You mean like similar to canned beans? Only
Yeah, but you make your own.
I love beans.
Yes.
I mean, I know they're cause you a little distress in your digestive system, but I absolutely love beans.
And they're good for you.
Yes.
So when I moved now you wouldn't think living in one country that you'd have cultural issues, but I did. When I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, I couldn't find certain things that I used to be able to get in Nova Scotia to cook with. So one of them was a bean that we use when we make our own homemade beans. And it's called a soldier bean. And it's large. It's quite large. And it has brown and white spots on it. So it's like, that's the best bean ever to make baked beans. So when I go home, a friend of mine, we went to Nova Scotia on a trip to visit my parents, and we brought back 40 pounds of beans. They come in 1 pound bags. So she put 20 pounds in her suitcase, and I put 20 pounds in my suitcase. And that's how we got them here. And then if my sister goes home, she always brings me back some. And if I go home, I always bring back some. And I've just used my last bag, so must be time for a trip home. Kathy?
What a bulk food store, a bulk food store.
I've looked everywhere here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you can't get Tancook sauerkraut here either. They make sauerkraut on Tancook Island in Nova Scotia. It's very famous. Well, you can't buy that here. So in my beans, I don't like a tomato base. I like a molasses base. So in the beans, I use molasses, a little bit of ketchup to give it a little tomatoey, chop up an onion, put some bacon in there. And the key to the beans, though, is to get them soft before you put them in the oven. Because once you put them in the oven, they do not soften up. So you boil them on the stove until the skins crack and they're softer just before they become mush. You don't want them to be mushy, but that's when you put your sugar and everything on them and put them in the oven for 3 or 4 hours and let them bake in there and stir them every once in a while with some water. But the key to that is making sure they're soft before you put them in the oven, because otherwise they don't soften after that. So that's my baked bean recipe.
I want that one. I want that one, please. And the one with the poppy seed chicken one. My mom loved that one.
And Kathy, maybe because you're in Ontario, and Kay too, when you're shopping, see if you can find those. They're called soldier beans because you might have them. We don't.
Oh,
So that'll be a little something for you to look for when you go to the grocery store.
okay.
And they're large, they're larger, and they're brown and white together, like a cow, spotted.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't like the little tiny ones. They're like eating bullets, you know. These are these are really cool.
Okay.
Anything else coming up for you? Oh, sesame chicken. It's poppy seed. Poppy seed. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
poppy seed, black
Poppy
specks.
seed. Yeah. It's lovely. And then I serve that with you can either serve it with noodles or you can serve it with rice with a salad on the side. Makes a nice meal for dinner party. Maybe, Kay, when I come to California, when I come back down, I'll make some. We'll do charades today. When I come down, I'll make some.
Ah,
This is when sign language would come in handy. Kay knows her sign language too, right? Yeah.
can she hear us?
Yes.
Yeah, you can hear. Yeah,
You can
okay.
hear us. Yeah. Anything else coming up for you, Kathy, around cooking? Because you take care of your parents. So why don't you share with us, what kind of maybe challenges you face with taking care of your parents? Because as we get older, Kay and I talked about that, our appetites change.
Well, my mom is getting a little fussier, you know. She has an awful sweet tooth now. You know, she doesn't eat much of her lunch, you know. I will make her a corned beef sandwich, and I cut the sandwich in half, you know, because it's quite very large bread slices. So I cut the sandwich in half. My dad gets half, my mother gets half. But the problem is she will eat maybe 2/3 of it and eat the rest. And then she says, "Do you have anything good for dessert?"
Oh,
And so I try to accommodate her a little bit by buying her, you know, those ice cream cones with the chocolate coating and the peanuts on
yeah.
top.
Drumsticks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But she her sweet tooth is ferocious. I try not to buy cookies or cakes. You probably hate me for that, but I I give her ice cream once in a while and all that. But I've been buying cherries a lot lately because she wants to
Yes.
treat. So I give her a cup of cherries, you know, and
Yeah.
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 But what
And
do you
what about your dad? What about your dad? How's
Oh,
he?
he eats anything. He doesn't have the same sweet tooth my mom does.
Mhm.
He eats everything. He
Yeah.
takes a long time to eat it because he has some swallowing. I think it's better now, but he has to eat slower because he had some swallowing issues due to the last minor stroke he had about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, pre-COVID.
Mhm.
So he eats slower, but he eats pretty well everything.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, they're
Yeah. Yeah. People don't know that when you have a stroke. My husband had a stroke um, when he turned 70. So that was 13 years ago. And the first thing to go is your throat muscle here, right here.
oh.
That's the first thing that is impacted by a stroke.
I
Mhm.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
He
And that's why, he was in the hospital for a week and he had all pureed food. And then they finally gave him a banana and he could swallow that. But he has not had a peanut since then. Um, Rice, I had to sort of, get him into that. But he used to eat about 5 pounds of peanuts a week, but he doesn't have nuts very often. Popcorn, absolutely not. Just different things like that are hard on the throat to swallow because even now, that's not back to being perfect. And so when I cook, I make sure everything's soft and, yeah, non-crunchy too much.
yeah.
But he loves those potato chips, and so he has those, but always with a dip. So they're easier to go down. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My
Oh,
dad
great.
likes his ice cream.
Oh, yes. And I buy those big boxes of, we call them polar dips. They're ice cream with chocolate covered on a stick. Yeah, so that's dessert here. So, but when I got home from up north and I gained 5 pounds, all that went. No more for a while. All right. We should all eat slower, Kay says. Yes. Yeah, we eat too fast. We just shovel it in. And what is it? The stomach doesn't know for 20 minutes that you've actually started eating yet. Right? It takes 20 minutes for that to kick in. So, yeah, it's very, very interesting that way. All right. Well, let's see. Shall I share one more quick thing? One more quick tip. You may already know this, but as of course, Kay has access to fresh fruits and vegetables all the time. She lives in California, right? So in Canada, not so much. So if we buy a head of lettuce and we don't process it properly, it's we only have it for a day or two and it goes bad. So a little tip I picked up, I don't know who told me this, I can't remember, but now when I get my fruits and vegetables home, I wrap them all in tin foil. And when you wrap your celery in tin foil, put it in the fridge, lasts for a month. Cucumbers, anything that you've cut open, my green peppers, all wrapped in tin foil.
I'm going to try that.
Fresh. That keeps it really fresh for at least a week or two till you use it up. So that's my final tip for the day. Wrap your many peaches are coming on your tree. Oh, any good recipes? Oh yeah. Peach and cherry jam. Oh, peach jam with maraschino cherries in there. Yum. Peach jam, but you put a maraschino cherries in with it. Beautiful jam. And peach cobbler and peach pie and a peach upside down cake. Peach upside down.
Peach something.
Peach upside down cake. Yeah, so it was the battle of the cooks when I was visiting Kay. So when she comes to visit me, it'll be the same. I'll have to let her in my kitchen.
You got a competition going.
Oh, yes. Peach butter. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, peach butter. Beautiful. Well, ladies, thank you so much for supporting our show today. We like to Fridays to do something fun. So food is always a fun thing to talk about and share recipes and little histories, a few stories, and that makes it all very fun and exciting. So thank you, Kathy, for being here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. It was fun. It was fun. I like that topic.
Yeah.
Nice.
And thank you, Kay, for popping in this morning as well. Always a pleasure to see you. Of course, you're one of our regulars on the Today Show. All right. So have a great weekend, everyone. I'm going to have a little break, and then I will be on with Dr. Ramin Modiri for our 28-minute shorter version of our show. We don't stream that show. We just record it for you because it needs to go to Kathy and the boys for editing. But Jay, yes. And that's why I said and the boys, because I need you to supervise. And today, Dr. Ramin and I are going to do a short version of our show from Tuesday, money and sex, the two things that people don't want to talk about.
Oh, okay.
But we do it very, very professionally, and it's a good topic because there are some big connections to that. Okay, even when it comes to investing. And Kay and I are both in Dr. Ramin's financial program, so we're not a bit surprised with anything that he comes up with when it comes to money. Last night we learned how to invest in grains, soya beans, wheat. Yeah, it's very, very educational. All righty, we'll talk to you all later. Everybody wave goodbye.
Okay, bye.
you.